Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Sarah Wong. Here's a look at tonight's top stories. More than 2,000 people march ahead of the 30th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square crackdown. An elderly passenger is killed and 15 others are injured in two separate accidents. And the Toronto Raptors win 4 games in a row to reach the NBA Finals for the first time. Events marking the anniversary of the Tiananmen Square crackdown kicked off this afternoon, with more than 2,000 people marching from Wanchai to Western. Participants said what happened in Beijing 30 years ago will never be forgotten. Nadia reports.
The slogan marchers chanted has remained the same for 30 years, Vindicate June 4th. They also demanded the withdrawal of the fugitive law amendments as they marched from Wanchai to Beijing's liaison office in Western. A large banner carried by the Hong Kong Alliance in support of patriotic democratic movements in China said people will never forget June 4th, which marks its 30th anniversary this year. Many participants said they want the next generation to know about the crackdown. This woman said history is history and will remain in the books. One man turned up with a model of a tank to remember those who lost their lives in 1989. This man said he took part because he was worried that fewer people would join the protest this year. Both organizers and police agreed that around 2,000 people took part. The march was cheered by a group of people who disagreed with the protest movement. The marchers reached the liaison office in Western at around 5 o'clock. Officers gave a warning after some protesters tossed paper money into the air, left behind a paper coffin, and started to burn paper offerings. Protest organizers said they were happy with the turnout.
This year marks the 30th anniversary of June 4th. It definitely will arouse more people's concern that they hope to express their wish about June 4th. And also with the human rights situation deteriorate in Hong Kong, especially the government try to propose the legislation amendment to the fugitive law.
Choi expects a high turnout for the candlelight vigil this Saturday. Edna Zhe, HKIBC.
A man died and 6 other people were injured when the car ran into a bus stop in Ao Tau Kok this afternoon. Paramedics rushed to the scene to treat the injured. An 80-year-old man who was a passenger in the vehicle was treated at the scene but died in hospital. The driver and 5 people on the road were injured. Witnesses say the driver apparently lost control of his vehicle on Kwun Tong Road just before 3 p.m. Earlier, 9 people were injured in a 2-bus collision on Lantau. All the victims were in a tourist coach, which crashed head-on with a new Lantau bus on Kingshan Road at around 10:30 a.m. Some of the injured were sent to North Lantau Hospital. The coach driver claimed that while he's heading to the Poland monastery, the other bus suddenly crossed into his lane from the opposite direction. Chief Secretary Matthew Cheng says some foreign businesses, which he did not specify, are supporting the proposed extradition law amendments. His claim came as NPC member Tam Yu-chung said Beijing voices backing for the changes only after Chief Executive Carrie Lam came under international pressure. Nadia reports.
A formal protest by the European Union office in Hong Kong and concerns expressed by U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo have puzzled political veteran Tam Yu-chung. The National People's Congress member and former DAB chairman says it's hard to understand why foreign countries are condemning the proposed amendments to the extradition laws. Why can other countries make changes and Hong Kong can't? He asked during a radio program this morning. The former lawmaker accused the U.S. of exploiting political controversies in Hong Kong to smear China. Tam said Beijing only broke its silence on the issue after Chief Executive Carrie Lam came under foreign pressure. Her number two, meanwhile, took to his blog for the second time in a month to defend the proposed amendments that have divided Hong Kong. Chief Secretary Matthew Cheung said some foreign businesses now support the changes after meeting the government last week. He said meetings will be held with other sectors to try and ease their concerns, adding that Hong Kong's independent judiciary, which is ranked top in Asia, will provide safeguards. Edna Tse, HKIBC.
Tenants of subdivided flats may receive financial aid to improve their living conditions. Each household could get up to $10,000 in the first half of next year. Welfare Secretary Lo Chi-kwong says about 24,000 low-income families may benefit. They can spend the money on things like furniture or repairs. The scheme will cost $290 million and will be discussed by the Legislative Council panel tomorrow. Motorists had a smooth drive on the opening day of the 11-kilometer-long Heung Yun Wai Highway, which was built to ease congestion in New Territories North. The free highway connects the Heung Yun Wai boundary control point, which is under construction, to the Fanling Highway near Kowloon Hang. It takes only 4 minutes to drive from Fanling to Sha Tau Kok, compared with 20 minutes previously. And it's only 8 minutes between Heung Yun Wai to Fanling.